So good morning, good afternoon. I'm David Solomon. In addition to being the Director of Research and Creative Activity at Christopher Newport University in Virginia, I am the current chair of the Undergraduate Research Programs Division of CUR. And I want to welcome you to what is now our fourth, I believe, Undergraduate Research Programs Exchange. These 50-minute Zoom sessions are monthly facilitated exchanges of ideas and information on a variety of topics and issues related to undergraduate research programs. Sessions are recorded, as Luke mentioned, and will be made available on the CUR community and also on the CUR URPD website. These exchanges are not designed to be formal presentations, but instead will begin with very brief introductions by facilitators and then open for discussion. Today's session addresses best practices in undergraduate research journals, and we're fortunate enough to have colleagues representing 4 institutions to facilitate this session. And I'll ask them to introduce themselves now, and then I'll turn the screen over to each of them to talk briefly about their individual journals, and we'll have plenty of time for questions and discussions at that point. So we'll start with Jenny. Want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Jenny Shanahan. I'm Assistant Provost for High Impact Practices at Bridgewater State University in Massachusetts.
And Mohammed?
I'm Mohammed. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mohammed from New Jersey, Union College, UCNJ. That's a community college. I am the Director of Student Research and Science Lab and the editor-in-chief for the journal. And good to be with you.
And Karen?
Hi, everyone. I am Karen Rodriguez. I am the Director of the Office of Undergraduate Research at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Always a mouthful. Nice to be here. Glad to see all of you.
And finally, Elisa and Melissa.
Hi, I'm Elisa Sobo. I am Director for Undergraduate Research in the College of Arts and Letters at San Diego State University, where I'm also a Professor of Anthropology and AI Faculty Fellow. And I am overjoyed that we also have here our student editor-in-chief of our journal, because it is literally by students for students. And I will introduce Melanie Hussey, and she will introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melanie Hussey, as Dr. Sobo mentioned. Just reference, I'm a social science major with a minor in social and personality psychology. I'm the editor-in-chief of our journal here at SDSU, Splice, and I'm very excited to talk about our journal today.
Great, thank you. And I got to apologize right off the bat because I think, Melanie, I called you Melissa. If I did, I apologize.
Good.
Okay, so let me open our PowerPoint up here. We're going to start with Mohammed. So just let me know when you need me to move a slide, please.
Okay, so we have like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity, Dave, and everybody. Like we have experience with community college. It looks like a trial to make our commitment to our students to help them to succeed. And this journal published twice a year. Like we have right now, it's 8 years old. And we keep like the commitment to publish the 2-volume every academic year. And the journal discipline like include all the STEM disciplines, starting engineering, microbiology, everything, biology, physics, and all other disciplines related to the STEM division. We also offer the opportunity to our neighbor community college, like to publish their article in our journal. Like for the last couple of years, we almost have 7 articles every year, every volume. And for 5 articles, always from the college, the UCNJ college students work, and 2 articles from outside community college and other university. And we have a website for the journal linked with the library, and we always have published the e-book or the file for the library whenever we finish. And we also print the journal, a hard copy journal, and we provide 6 copies to every single student as a co-author. And this outcomes from the research projects, because we do have a grant, and we have the student research program helping students to work with the faculty. And by the end of the semester, we expect the students to create the research article. And this is like a very quick images about what we have in our journal, the website, and the editorial team. We have a very good team for working as editorial team. And the main success for the last couple of years, I just try for myself to stick with a very organized process for the journal to be processed and to receive the article. And we will see. Next slide, please. And this is a very quick summary about the process. And the main process starts with the students submit and the article to the faculty mentor or the faculty. And then the faculty takes some time to proofread the article to make sure everything is ready, because we provide the template for the journal to the faculty mentor. And this diagram, including the process, but we have also supporting points. Like we provide the students with the Canvas shell, and the Canvas shell contains some of the recorded workshops. We also have in-person workshop about writing article, about publishing their article, how to size the sources, how to create the reference list, how to use the different AI tools, for example, for writing and check their like Grammarly and other to improve the writing skills for students. And also we have a very good collaboration with our academic learning center. We have a very professional people there, and they have a collaboration with us because they give the students time to submit the article, and they schedule appointment and sitting with the students to give them the suggestions, the comments about their article. And by the end of this meeting, the students incorporate the suggestion with the approval. Of course, I was sitting with the faculty mentor, and whenever they finish, they submit the article to the faculty mentor, and the faculty mentor submitted to myself. So this is the process we try to stick with, because this is the best way to minimize, to help our students to deal with the writing, to learn more and more about the writing skills, about how they can create the research article. Especially, we are trying to empower our students with the skills as a community college students to be ready whenever they transfer to 4 years college, not struggling to engage themselves with the research. And the final, and also whenever we have this article, we also have the editorial team. We have like proofreading with the other peer reviewer, and we back and forth, like working with the article, try to make the article in the best shape. And after that, we have the final proofreading and the formatting. Next slide, please. And the main idea, the main objective of our work with the journal, because maybe our story is a little bit unique, because we have a low-income students community, we have a minority students, we also have students like working, like they don't have like try to help them to stick to graduate, to let them complete the course. And that's why we try to have this journal as a product of their efforts. And our recruitment for the students to do research, not stick with the high GPA. We give the opportunity to the students with the regular GPA, like and 2.5 and more. And that part of our commitment to help the students and to provide the help for students to success. Another important, like a collaborative approach, we try to collaborate with our neighboring community colleges, and also promoting student success. That's with the measuring the course completion, the graduation rate, how the students get by providing some of the activities and get the feedback from the students. And of course, we have also challenges, like that's the last piece of our, because for me, the challenge sometimes like the funding, but we always have an alternative option, because the college always step up to provide the fund. For example, the grant for printing, the in-house printing, it costs some money, and the college also help us for that. To give a stipend for students, we do have grant, but it's already done, and the college try to keep this stipend continue with the students. And the time lane, like we have a very good challenging about, like for proofreading and the formatting. We don't have a production office for the journal, so it looks like we spend a long time to proofread and edit and edit and edit with the Word format. And I'm really happy to have this opportunity, because I expect to listen to some advice, some thoughts, some suggestions. How can we improve our work? How can we get our journal more scalable? Like one of our thinking about to get what the ISSN number, like the serial number, and that will be a very good time to share our thoughts. Thank you so much. I'm sorry
Great.
if you have.
Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you.
Yeah.
On to Jenny at Bridgewater State. Jenny.
Thanks for coming, everybody. I've already learned a ton, so thanks to Mohammed.
Thank you.
At Bridgewater State in Massachusetts, we have a journal that's called the Undergraduate Review, a journal of undergraduate research and creative scholarship that we've published once a year for 18 years, just commencing on volume 19 this week. About 24 articles appear per volume. That will vary depending on what we get that year and how many are accepted for publication. And published in paper, so that image on your screen is the 2024, or no, sorry, that's the 2023 cover of the print version, where the cover always features one of the student scholars' work, in this case, a jewelry maker who's in a metal work concentration in the art major. And it's published electronically in Digital Commons. So there's a QR code there to our Digital Commons site for it, if anybody's interested in checking that out. That, you might know, Digital Commons is part of bPress at UC Berkeley, and that has been a tremendous asset for our student researchers published here. More than 2 million times have those articles been downloaded around the world, and students and then alumni, as long as the email address they provided is active, they'll continue to get reader updates. So fun for them to see where in the world their pieces were downloaded. So next slide. Ours is, I think, similar to Mohammed's, heavy with faculty and then me as an administrator involvement. So I think it'll be really interesting to look at like a student-led version later. So I've been serving as the editor-in-chief, and managing editor has been in the 18 years time, 4 different part-time faculty members in English who are in the writing concentration. So it's a chance for them to earn some additional compensation and get to work with students in a different way. Our layout design is typically done by an undergraduate student who has a major in graphic design, who uses InDesign. And then we have a few editorial assistants who are a graduate assistant in my office, and then undergraduate student employees, and one of whom has a 3-credit internship to be an editorial assistant. We have a budget of about $20,000 a year. The big expenses of that are the managing editor's additional compensation. So that managing editor works mostly with the faculty whose students have submitted something, and then especially with the faculty reviewers. So recruiting reviewers, and then communicating, handling the, we do a confidential review by faculty but in the field. And so that person is doing that communication back and forth. And then sometimes there's some translating work or some making things a little more constructive, sometimes taking the review and presenting it in a way that can be really learning experience for a student. We have especially want to work to ensure that those requiring an extensive amount of revision or those being declined for publication are getting really constructive feedback on that. And then we have the other student employees and about $7,000 to print 200 paper copies. It's very high quality paper, and the journals are about 300 pages. So just to give you a sense that is expensive, but for good reason.
Jenny, I'm going to jump in and ask two quick questions.
Oh,
Do you
sure.
print in full color?
Yes.
You do, the full color. And we have a
Yeah.
question in the chat. Are all or most of the submissions from students at your institution?
Oh, yes, they're all from our institution.
Great.
So they may come from coursework, our summer research program, honors theses, that kind of thing. Yeah, and the last slide is that students submit and they need a faculty mentor's endorsement. And then the piece is screened by the managing editor for suitability, and then confidentially reviewed with a rubric by a professor in that discipline. And they are asked to accept as is, or with minor changes, accept with revisions or decline. And acceptances with revision, typically we say try to get it back to us in 3 weeks. We work really, flexibly with those students, of course. And the editorial assistants and or the managing editor are available to meet with the students about their revisions, but also then to determine, did they in good faith address what the review asked for. About 10% are accepted, like with very minor work to do, but the vast majority are accepted with revision, and that can be sometimes too much to ask an undergraduate to do. So we do a lot of like that, kind of trying to go liaise between those. And about 20% are declined, even with a faculty mentor endorsement. So it seems, tough, but seems to be respected in terms of the process. And I just made a note on the slide that we used to have about 90% of those who were accepted with revision do the revisions. And ever since the pandemic, that's down to 50%. So others may have seen that lack of that change in interest in those last few years, which has been interesting to watch. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jenny. I'm going to go on to Melanie at San Diego.
I'm going to interject here because I just want to
Sure.
do some stage setting and explain. We don't have a budget slide because we don't have a budget. So and as Jenny said, I've already learned so much by listening to the two previous presentations about what to do and so forth. But we can have a few dollars for pizza now and then, and there are $3,000 in reserve should in case the students not be able to raise the money necessary for printing. San Diego State is a state college, it's the largest institution of the chain. We serve a Hispanic Serving Institute, Asian Pacific Islander Serving Institute, very similar student body to the student body that Dr. Mohammed talked about. So in that context, I just wanted to give a little situational knowledge for what Melanie's going to share with us. And I want to say too, now I'm just even prouder than I was before about what these students have accomplished.
Thank you for explaining that. I was also going to kind of mention that that's kind of one of our challenges is working with the sort of low funding that we have. But yeah, without further ado, I'll kind of talk about SPLICE. So we're also known as the Journal of Undergraduate Scholarship at SDSU's College of Arts and Letters. To the left, you could kind of see all of our previous publications, and we weren't always called SPLICE. It's kind of a new title for us. And we are also the first humanities and social sciences undergraduate research journal in the entire CSU system. So we've accomplished a lot, and we're still pretty young, but we've gained a lot of submissions, especially post-COVID when we decided to start the journal back up again since we went on hiatus during the pandemic. So we're currently working on our 8th volume, and our general audience is just the public in general. Of course, it's always aimed at College of Arts and Letters students in terms of submitting, but we always try to allow our students to share their knowledge and share their various disciplines, because College of Arts and Letters is very diverse. We have like economics, we have history, we have religion, English, sociology. So there's various majors, and we try to accommodate everyone and allow everyone to be able to understand all of the different subjects. We could go to the next slide. And this is our cover from last year's issue, volume 7. The cover is actually student work. We created a cover competition to try and get more people involved with the publication process, and this is one of our winners. And just our main purpose and impact, we are a journal for students by students. The editorial board is made up of all undergrad students, all reviewers, developmental editors, copy editors, everyone in the public relations team. We are all students. We have some faculty peer reviewers as well, and I'll kind of talk more about that later. And we try to provide students with a lot of experience with peer reviewing and the publishing process, because we also know that, for me, at least as a student, I always think of research and publishing work as a grad student opportunity rather than an undergrad student opportunity. So I think it's very important that we have things like this, because in order for a lot of undergrads would like to go to grad school or even just applying to other jobs, it's a very great opportunity and resume builder. And of course, we always provide a community to elevate the undergrad experience, especially for first generation students and people who are still exploring their interests. So. And then our general structure here, it's similar to everyone else's, but we have the core editorial board. RSO just stands for Recognized Student Organization. So your typical like president and vice president roles, but that would be editor-in-chief. We have the managing editor, mainly responsible for keeping the inflow of all of the reviews and submissions. Associate editor, as well as our faculty advisory board liaison. They just ensure they're sort of the liaison between the editorial board and all of the various editing teams that we have. Faculty advisory board, they are built of College of Arts and Letters faculty, and they advise the editorial board on ways that the journal can improve if we're struggling with maybe engagement or we're unsure about certain ways that we could process information and things like that within our journal. They're there for a guide, because as a student looking up towards faculty members, it's really helpful. And then, of course, we have our treasurer, who works on fundraising opportunities and all the financial aspects of the journal, and then our public relations officer, so just making sure that the word gets out there and people know about us and are motivated to submit. And then we require one faculty mentor for each paper that is submitted. We also publish creative works in addition to research. Of course, our focus is research, but we offer the opportunity to publish either poetry or short stories. And then our faculty advisor, Dr. Sobo, as well as part of our team. And then our main process, so in the fall semester, we have sort of our hard launch party where we display and distribute the print version of our journal. And we also open up submissions at the very start of the semester. All the submissions will go through the editorial board just to make sure that sort of like the basic requirements are all fulfilled, and then those are sent out to at least 2 student or faculty reviewers. And it's a double-blind process for us, so the author doesn't know who the reviewer is and the reviewer doesn't know who the author is, just to try and avoid any potential bias. And then in the spring, we hand out those reviews. The editorial board looks over all of the comments and all of the manuscripts, and then we send them out to be revised. Developmental editors, so students, work with the authors as well as a faculty mentor to just clean everything up if it needs like more serious revisions. And then, of course, other ones that are sort of more ready to publish, they go just straight to copy editing. And then once we have everything sort of revised. We send everything to SDSU Press, who is our main publisher. They work on the format for us as well. And then all of the authors proofread, and then it's ready. We offer a digital version on our website. And then we start planning for the next year. So we have weekly e-board meetings and monthly collective meetings. So all the editors like meet up, and we try and engage in more like social activities and build community. And then for future aims and challenges, so we're sort of in the development of a podcast series, interviews with authors, talking more in depth about their process in research, maybe how they got the opportunity, as well as where they are now, if they graduated. And then also in growing faculty involvement, because we normally get the same faculty each year, which is amazing. We're very happy about the consistency, but it's always nice to welcome in new ideas and new perspectives. We also want to incorporate more workshops, and I think that's another struggle in terms of budget and funding. And I think also just keeping the various editing teams sort of staffed all the time. We're always looking for new reviewers. And as students get more busy throughout the semester, people can't really commit as much time, but either way, people will be recognized for their work. So I think that's a big motivator. It looks great on your resume. So yeah, it's a very fun time, and I enjoy working with all of the students. So.
Great, thank you, Melanie. And I imagine that we're all looking up your email so we can invite you to transfer to our institution at this point. So watch out, Elisa. You're gonna lose her. I'm gonna move on to Karen in Illinois.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Melanie. I really like how you elaborated the process for submission and what all your students do. I'm going to spend a little bit more time kind of on the structure. Our submission process is very similar to what Melanie outlined for Splice. Also, just as sort of a background, we have had undergraduate research journals on our campus for about 15 years. The challenges, they come and go, particularly during COVID. We had several fold up shop. Most of them have been tied to a program or an area or discipline. The one that I'm going to talk to you about today is our new Illinois Student Undergraduate Research Journal. It's multidisciplinary. There are actually 7 other journals on campus as well. Most of them are student-led. So for us, they're also supported by our university library. One of the things that our library has done for all journals on our campus, but particularly for ILSurge, was they developed a really robust peer review curriculum. So it actually introduced them to what, so anybody who's doing peer review is part of the journal and even the submission process. They spend several months going through that process and what that looks like, what does it mean to publish, etc. We're also double blind, so author and peer reviewers are anonymous. We use open journal for our structure. Most of it is lodged through the library. ILSurge is different. They actually developed their own website. We're actually in discussion right now as to whether or not we will move them to the library platform. They particularly wanted to do it that way because they publish a lot of articles beyond research articles. So that's one thing about our ILSurge is also it's annual, comes out every spring. They solicit articles in the fall, much like what Melanie was elaborating for Splice. It's multidisciplinary. It's the first multidisciplinary journal on our campus. I will say, so it was founded in 2022, but the first issue wasn't until this spring. So we do have a faculty advisory board. I am on that, but I'm also kind of the week by week, month by month advisory to the journal. And we had a lot of conversations at the beginning. They were very, very ambitious, much like most student-run journals are. but you know, the challenge was what they would actually be able to accomplish. So we decided to push it off until the second year. But so I'm very proud of what they've done, and they're the only journal that's actually officially partnered with our office. So can you move to the next slide, David? So just a real brief overview of what the structure of it is. So like Splice, it is all students for students, with the exception of the faculty advisory board. So there's an executive board that oversees everything. So and anyone who is, whether they're the editorial teams, associate editor, copy editor, publication, graphic design, etc., all of them are considered part of the executive board. They meet once every 2 months. We have a really robust, student editorial staff. We usually have 2 editors-in-chief that provide oversight. They're the ones that help with the peer curriculum training. They do the recruiting. They oversee operations and content review. The associate editors also take part in that sort of education and the peer review process. They will support the copy editors. They also review submissions and content. They're actually kind of the first ones that review the submissions and sort of organize, again, who needs revisions, who will be rejected, who will be accepted as is. Copy editors and peer reviewers essentially assure the submission standards that the journal has set up. What will happen then is once something has been accepted, regardless of what the category it is in, the faculty will also review it as well to make sure it actually meets with the disciplinary standards. I saw that there was a question about what citation practice is used. Our students submit according to their disciplines practices. So it could be MLA, it could be Chicago Manual of Style. There is a notation at the beginning of the journal that it is according to whatever the student's own disciplinary practices are. We have a really robust student marketing and fundraising staff that doesn't have to do quite so much anymore. One of the things about our journal, similar to what Melanie was talking about, they are a registered student organization. And for our campus, that's not insignificant. It means there's also extra oversight by student affairs, which is where all the RSOs sit, but it means money. So anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 are available for our RSO. And I did not put any pretty pictures on my slides, but this is what our journal looks like, the print version of it. I'll provide the website for it. Can you go to the next slide, David? So so like I said, faculty editorial board, currently we have 16. They represent, there's hopefully at least 2. That's the goal of each disciplinary area: humanities and arts, engineering, social sciences, etc. Also myself from the Office of Undergraduate Research, the faculty advisor from the University Library, and also from the Office of our Vice Chancellor for Research. All of them, again, they set the disciplinary parameters, what the standards are in their own disciplines, best practice in terms of content and what writing is meant to look like. They also work with the writers workshop. And then the faculty actually do the final peer review. So peer review happens both with the content and the associate editors, but then it goes to the faculty to make sure everything is in order. And actually, before publication, in my office, we will go through the whole journal, make sure everything looks okay, that all the standards for submission, etc., have been followed, and then we sign off on that. You go to the next one. Yeah. So the content. No, second one.
Whoop, sorry.
Yeah. So this is what ours actually, the content is like. So it's research articles, usually a minimum of 5. They're looking to have 10, but the challenge of printing 10 articles plus the other things that are included might be a challenge. Our first journal issue was 100 pages. And even with the RSO financial support, it was quite expensive. But it also has served as a really good recruiting tool, not only for students who want to write and be part of the journal, but also for our larger admissions. It's something that they now give out. But they also have interviews with faculty. So faculty who are working with undergraduate students who have mentoring experience. Some of the faculty are also just students, anybody that has is doing research and who are undergraduate research themselves, how they got involved, etc., and the ways they actually support students in research. There's also several features, so it gives students another opportunity to write and submit. That's not just about the research articles themselves. So we had our first issue had institutional programs like our Beckman Institute. Other kinds of research are being done on campus, so maybe a highlight on a lab or a research group, etc. And then also they include in the back, it will change from year to year, connections to our database for research opportunities that changes over time. Some general research opportunities that kind of from year to year are readily available, like our SPIN program out of our Granger College of Engineering, any funding that might be available, and then sort of summer research programs. So it's meant to be, the students had very specific vision. It's different from any journal that I had seen before and what I've seen other journals on our campus look like. But so far so good. They have also a very robust structure and program for continuity, which for us was the biggest question. I will say I have worked on other undergraduate journals before on our campus, and that's always been the challenge. What happens when students graduate and move on? I think that's the end of mine.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our presenters. So we've had some great questions in the chat. Let me start with a couple of them here for the group. So there was a question about discipline coverage. So I know that Union, yours is just STEM at the moment. Is that correct, Mohammed? You're muted.
Actually, we so far we are working with the STEM discipline, but for the future we expand, and the journal will be available for all the other division, like the humanity and the other
Okay.
social science, business, and others. Yeah.
Okay. And Jenny, is Bridgewater, is yours multidisciplinary?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
And Elisa and Melanie, I think yours is what? Social sciences and humanities, correct?
Yes.
So not STEM.
No.
And Karen, yours is multidisciplinary?
Yes.
Okay. One interesting question which came up, because a lot of us, of course, have different structures for this, and we've heard some really good variety here. A lot of question about the peer review process and how that works, especially if you have students doing the peer review. Do you do training for those students? How do you train them? What does that look like?
Yeah,
Melanie, do you want to
jump
answer?
in here. Sorry, I'll jump in here. So for normally at the beginning of the semester, we try and do a peer review workshop for our students, and this past year we did it on Zoom, so that way we could record it, and for those who aren't able to attend because they have class conflicts, we could just send it out to everyone who signed up to be a peer reviewer, and they could make sure we ensure that everyone knows the process. We also have created various documents and templates for students to use for instructions, what they should look for, how to give constructive criticism, because I know sometimes you just want to say, oh, this is a really bad paper, but of course you can't say that because that would be disrespectful. So teaching people how to do that, working with examples, and then our template sort of says, okay, make sure you don't include your name. Say, this is the manuscript you were assigned. This is your reviewer number. Provide a summary, provide major revisions, and then minor revisions. And then if they have any other extra comments for the editorial board, but they might not want the author to see, in our submission form, when they turn in their peer review after a 2-week period, they're able to say comments that won't be in the document shared to the authors. And that could be things, maybe more opinionated, that the editorial board might consider for whether or not we should accept or reject.
Okay, good. Thank you. Anybody else have any input on how they do the
Yeah.
peer review process using students?
So if you want to add something, please, David. Like for our students, we try to practice them because as I mentioned, we have different shape for our journal, but we try to, for the first couple of weeks, to stick them with published articles and working hardly with the literature review to get the sense of writing article and how they start. And that save a lot of time for the faculty for the proofreading for that.
Quick question, Mohammed. Do your students get any course credit for engaging in your journal? Because it sounds like a lot of time that they're going to put in if they're going to be required to review already
Yeah.
published stuff.
And actually, this is a good question because this is a challenge for me because it takes like, I can tell like 50% of my job to at a time spent, especially for the proofreading. Even after the editorial board, after peer reviewer, we still have a lot of, especially the final format. I'm someone not, I understand like the journal have a production office, but I'm the person doing that, like even for the word format, for the spacing, for everything. And that's a challenge. And the college get the attention, they recruiting a new person as assistant for this job. But we,
The students themselves, though, did they get course credit?
The
no,
students who are
they
working
get
on the
paid
journal.
because it's only stipend because without this stipend, they don't have any credit.
Oh, they have a stipend.
Yeah.
They get a stipend. Okay, thank you. That
And
helps me
that's
to grasp.
why they are always excited with, they have 3 programs, spring, fall, and summer academy.
Thank you.
Okay. So that we have a question in the chat about if any journals accept external submissions from external students. And I know, Mohammed, you do.
Yes, we do.
Does anybody else?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Crystal's dropped a note into the chat there with with journals that do take submissions from external students. Does your journal take submissions from students external to your institution? Mine does not either.
Yeah.
And the other question that keeps coming up, and I want to be mindful of our time here, is how you get faculty involved. That's always a heavy lift, depending on the involvement that you need. My journal is not student run. It's entirely faculty peer reviewed. And so the faculty reviewers in my case are the faculty who are serving on my advisory committee for my office. So they're getting service credit for the work that they're doing. How about other people? How do you get your faculty involved? And I like Jenny put in the chat the form letter that she uses to send out things to faculty, asking them if they'd be interested in reviewing. And Jenny, I'm going to give everybody permission to plagiarize that. So
Yes, yeah, that's why I put it there. That's what CUR is all about.
yes. So how do you get faculty involved?
I'll jump in again for this one. I mean, Dr. Sobo is a big help because she knows a lot of the people within College of Arts and Letters, of course. One of our students, he's currently our CFO. He is very, very involved. He's part of, like Cal Council, so more student government work within our college. So he knows a lot of professors and directors. And we try to attend like the department chair meeting at the beginning of the year to try and say, hey, can you ask your departments whether or not a faculty might want to be a reviewer or even be open to being on the advisory board. And also just the students themselves kind of reach out to their own professors as well and ask them, would you be interested, especially because a lot of our editors are taking editing classes. We're very fortunate to have, I believe, like an editing publishing minor, or certificate. So we have some faculty who are just interested in general because that's just what they teach.
That's great, great. So, and I dropped in the chat there the link to the CUR site where the student journals are listed, undergraduate journals are listed, and there are lots of them on there that take external submissions. Jenny, you were going to say something.
Yeah, a few things. And I also do what Patrick mentioned in the chat, where after the review, I send them a letter on letterhead that thanks them, and that's appropriate for their inclusion in tenure and promotion portfolios. We are primarily undergraduate institution with 10,000 undergrads and only 2,000 grad students. So that's part of the culture of the institution is undergraduates, first. And and faculty teach a 4-4 load at Bridgewater State. So they're doing a lot of work with undergraduates. That's really the mission of the institution. So I think like those kinds of dynamics will work in some places better than others, of course. But I do reach out to people on the Undergraduate Research Advisory Board if there's, because that's a board of about 20 faculty from across the disciplines, but only if they have expertise in that particular area that we need. And then the Honors Advisory Board is a good group. And then I go to faculty who've had other students submit to the journal. So they want their students to get a good constructive review. So they'll often be like, okay, yeah, that's only fair. I can review something. And then some do decline. Of course, they'll say, I'm just too swamped to do this. Please check back with me next year, and we do. But most say, okay, yeah, and we say it would be great if you could do it in the next 3 weeks, but we're flexible and sometimes we have to do a little like reminding. So that's why that in our case, the managing editor role, who is a part-time faculty member, kind of talking peer to peer that way helps.
So as we're going forward, because we just have a couple of minutes left here, and I want to try to get to as many of the topics as people are dropping in here. There's the question of how you deal with plagiarism issues, making sure that you're not getting material that's been plagiarized, and then of course the elephant in the room about AI in the future. Has anybody figured out policies or procedures to deal with either of those issues yet?
I'm including when students submit, in ours, they do submission through Qualtrics, and there's a set of agreements at the bottom of the submission, and one of them is about this is my own work, and attesting to that ethical standard. And then we've added something about AI that is on the overall university academic integrity policy, that anything that is assisted with generative AI is indicated as such. And so it's just out of personal attestation.
Yeah.
Just to add to that, so AI is going to be added to it. It's going to be modeled on what the Office of Undergraduate Research has done in terms of even grant submissions to our office. But the idea, so we actually have a mentor contract. So any student who submits an article for publication, there's a mentor contract that gets signed so that the mentor has verified they have read through this. It is primarily authored by the student. We will add again AI language, but so we're also placing some of the burden on the mentors as well, that they are verifying that their student what has been submitted is actually the work of the student. And this is for us, and it's not just our journals, it's also a lot of publication and presentation on our campus by students now. We're actually asking mentors to verify that it is the student's work.
Right. So we're at 10 of the hour. I'm always mindful of our time. I just want to remind folks and thank you for dropping that in the chat. I don't know if that was Luke or Todd. There is going to be a student journal symposium for literary and research publications at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. in May. It's a hybrid event, and the event is free, but it requires pre-registration. So if you are interested, I would invite you to have a look at that. I'll drop the address there in the chat one more time. And with that, I want to thank everyone for participating. We could go on for some time, I'm sure, but we have to be mindful of our time. Sincere thanks to our terrific facilitators. Thank you so much.